Last time I uploaded on this YouTube channel, I made the bold statement that I was going to make a real effort to upload regularly and build this YouTube channel. Let's wait for Sophie to hit this heavy single. What a champ. Lo and behold, it's now been like 6 months and this is the first time that I'm going to be uploading. But it's because I've actually been super duper busy and I have good reason to it. That last video that I put out on the 10,000 kettlebell swings was the single biggest video I've ever put on YouTube. I didn't expect it to blow up that much and it got me a few subscribers. So I thought now was a good time to actually introduce myself. My name is Damienlifts. I am a strength coach in Auckland, New Zealand. And as we head towards the end of the year, I thought it would be a nice time for me to share my journey into getting where I am today so that you can see some of the difficulties it can be to make your way through the fitness industry and how just pushing through can really just get you where you want to be, or at least where you want to be right now. So I've been a personal trainer for over 10 years, and that is an absolute dinosaur in this industry. When I first got my personal training certs over 10 years ago, I honestly thought it was just going to be a side hustle for what my main job was at the time, which was a graphic designer. But I very quickly realized that my passion for fitness actually superseded my passion for design. The only thing is, I could never picture myself working in a commercial gym. So, fresh out of personal training school, I decided to do something that only the arrogance and cockiness of a 24-year-old could do. And I decided, screw the commercial gym. I'm going to go straight into opening my own facility. In hindsight, this was a very stupid thing to do. I didn't have any background in business, nor did I actually have any experience training people. So I decided to dive into the deep end and do both at the same time. Even despite all this, I still managed to somehow convince a commercial landlord to give me a commercial lease. And just over a year after getting my certifications, I opened my first personal training studio. Now don't cringe at the name, it's called Alpha for the Mucker. Times were different back then. I learned so much in a short amount of time, and I did relatively well considering I didn't know what the hell I was doing. This period of my life may have been the most transformative for just the amount of stuff I learned. I learned every single lesson the hard way. While I did relatively well to begin with, it was ultimately a house of cards being held together by just hard work and trying to keep ahead of the debts to keep the doors open. But in that time, I did manage to make a name for myself as a trainer and begin to develop a client base. I also learned better coaching techniques and slowly but surely realized that niching down into actual strength training was where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be a personal trainer that's just doing body comp stuff like 99% of people. But even giving all my efforts and my full mid-20s gusto, I was unable to keep that studio alive. And after just under 3 years of being open, I had to shut it down. This was pretty devastating. It was a pretty rough time in my life. It not only almost personally bankrupted me, it was also a massive thrashing to my ego. Thankfully, it was at the same time that I met Sophie, who would become my best friend, my girlfriend, and is now my wife. And she gave me the support structure for me to really hide away and lick my wounds. Because I used to actually live at the gym, I hadn't just lost my business, I had also lost my home. With almost zero money to my name, I was forced to move out quite rurally to Dairy Flat, knowing full well that a lot of my clients would not be able to make that commute. While I didn't know it at the time, the isolation the country environment provided me, it did allow me to reflect a lot on what I wanted to do. And I did realize that I still wanted to be in the fitness game. Even though I had lost a lot of clients due to moving, and I had also downgraded my nice commercial facility into what was essentially a shed in the middle of a field. This garage was absolutely awful. It had asbestos in the roof. The door, it was missing a door, so it was always cold, and it was just kind of a crappy setup. But what it did show me was the clients that stuck with me were the people that were there for me as a trainer, not for the equipment I provided. And it did give me new life. While it would be easy to just sit around and be sad, given that I had now lost a bunch of my client base, and being rurally, I was really struggling to bring in more people, I put that time to relatively good use. While the money from my business was substantially down, I also didn't have the overheads of a commercial facility. So I was kind of in a holding pattern that allowed me to do a lot of self-development in this field, and became an absolute nerd in all the weak points I had that had led to my previous business going under. I took this time to learn how to be a better coach. I learned how to market correctly, and I increased every skill that I could figure out would make me better, so that when I was ready to break back into the market, I could do it with absolute full force and with better confidence in knowing that I had everything I needed to have covered. After spending a couple of years in the country, the house that we lived in was literally falling apart, infested with rats, and it was time for us to move. So, much to the dismay of our neighbors, we moved into a suburban house in Albany Heights. The garage was about the same size, but it was a much cleaner, nicer environment. Also, having moved my gym 3 times, I was beginning to understand how to design spaces for fitness, the most efficient way of laying stuff out, and what equipment was best bang for your buck. In very little time, I ended up building a garage gym that many people envied, and was able to offer the results of even your best commercial facilities. Being back in civilization and really doubling down on what I did best, which was making people strong and helping people use strength training as a tool to manage their mental health, allowed me to really stand out from other personal trainers. This, combined with my new knowledge on how to market and even using the creativity from my graphic design side, I was beginning to build a personal training business that I was not only super proud of, but it was with a client base that I truly resonated with. All of the anxiety, the reflection, the panic attacks, everything that had come about from the years leading up to me moving back into Albany had really helped me empathize and connect with people and what made them come to the gym in the first place. It made me help people discover what their drive to be strong actually was, rather than just a reflection of what they thought society wanted from them. I was no longer just giving the gift of fitness, I was giving the gift of stability and confidence through strength training. It was at this point that Sophie also began to embrace her passion for fitness and ended up becoming qualified as a personal trainer and training clients herself. Our training businesses worked exceptionally well next to each other, as we both covered slightly different niches with a good overlap that both of our client bases kind of just felt like one big family at this point. With the success of Sophie's personal training business, we began to run into a snag, however. We could no longer fit any more training sessions in a 2-car garage because we both couldn't train clients at the same time. But we had a plan. But first, on the 2nd of April 2022 was the best day of my life, when Sophie and I finally tied the knot. I finally felt that I was at a place that I was financially stable and emotionally taken care of. So it was time to make the next life jump. We knew we had something good, so it was time for us to step up our game. In October of 2022, we opened Strength Block. While we are only a few months in, I am extremely proud of how far we have come. It's still early days, but I still have some of those clients that started with me all the way back almost 10 years ago at Airborne Studio, training with me at Strength Block today. And I am extremely grateful for all the support I have received from my clients. While I have been able to build this business more and more, and hopefully even bigger in the future, I honestly couldn't do it without the support of my clients who show up every session to get the job done. I'm by no means a fitness influencer. I'll never be a fitness influencer. So I rely on a tight knit of like-minded individuals to help me succeed. And in response, I will do everything I can as a coach to look after them. So here's to 2023. Let's find out what happens next.